Okay, I'd like to call to order the Bedford Township Planning Commission regular meeting dated September 28th, 2022. It is about 7:02 p.m. Could we stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Kovrat, can you call the roll, please?
Absolutely. Mr. Swank is excused. Mr. Lamkowski.
Here.
Mr. Helm.
Here.
Mr. Steiner. Mr. Fritz.
Aye.
Mr. Kovrat is here. Mr. Mahoney.
Here. Okay. Approval of the agenda set forth.
Motion to approve the agenda is submitted.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. Okay, approval of the minutes dated August 24th, 2022. Does anyone have any additions, deletions, additions? If not, can somebody move to accept them?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of the August 24th, 2022 meeting.
A second.
Second it.
Mr. Fritz supports. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Mr. Chairman, if I could abstain, I
Yes,
was
sir.
not here for that meeting.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Kovrat abstains. Okay, reading of the minutes, September 14, 2022. There's 3 that attended and 2 are here.
If I could address that, Mr. Chairman.
Please.
I think there's 2 of you, yes, that were present. I know it's your custom to abstain when you weren't present and didn't witness the activities at the meeting. However, this was a meeting where no action was taken. We didn't have a quorum. The minutes reflect just continuing a public hearing, no discussion, continuing and resetting the time for the site plans tonight. So I would really like to see the minutes approved. If you can pass on your normal custom and you don't see anything objectionable on these minutes, then I would like you to proceed if you could.
Okay. Motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Okay, Mr. Fritz supports. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Okay. Item 7, public comment. Is there anybody out there who would like to make a comment? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 8, old business. Item A, request for a sign waiver for Deer Creek Retail Center, LLC, Zane's Lebanese Grill, in a C1 local commercial zoning district, a multi-unit building, Deer Creek Commons, on parcel number 5802-032-057-20, otherwise known as 7300 Secor Road, Lambertville, Michigan, 48144. Katrina, do you have anything to add?
The applicant is Zane Ismail. The address is 7300 Secor Road, Unit 11, Lambertville, Michigan, 48144. The sign company is Sign Design. The owner is Rami Edie, Deer Creek Retail Center, LLC. The location is the 7300 Secor, Unit 11, Lambertville, Michigan, 48144. Parcel number 5802-032-05720. It is C1 Local Business District Zone. The applicant is seeking to install a 31.98 square foot area wall sign, 2.5 feet overall height in a C1 Local Business Zoning District on a multi-unit building. Per section 400.1922(7)B, one wall sign for each unit located on the parcel is permitted 2.5 feet in height and 50 square feet in area, or 80% of the width of the unit, whichever is less. The unit is 25 feet in width, and 80% of the width of the unit would permit a 20 square foot area wall sign. The applicant calculated the square footage as 2 separate signs. However, the planning department calculates each sign separately for total square footage. Therefore, the proposed sign requires an 11.98 square foot area waiver. The applicant has been advised by the planning department the proposed sign can only advertise for the subject location. Should the request be considered, the following waivers are required: an 11.98 square foot area waiver for a wall sign, and the following shall be considered for inclusion in any motion to approve. All required permits shall be obtained from Bedford Township.
Okay, is there anybody representing Zane's Lebanese Grill? Would you like to stand up to the microphone? Make sure it's close to your mouth, and state your name and address for the record.
My name is Robert Ruiz.
Can you go a little bit closer?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Is that better?
It should be.
Okay. My name is Robert Ruiz. I'm with Deer Creek Retail Center, LLC. We're the landlords for the subject property. I'm here representing Zane's as well as the landlord in this request. In February of 22, the former owner had passed away unexpectedly. We found a family operation out of Sylvania who was willing to take on this location, bring it up to acceptable standards, and operate. They're simply seeking a waiver to fit their full name on the building, Zane's Lebanese Grill. They are operating in Sylvania, Ohio as well with a very similar sign that also mimics what is being requested. And so they simply just wanted to advertise their building sign and pull down the banner that's currently up there.
I have to advise you, we're one board member short tonight. If you'd like us to proceed, we can, or if you want to wait till we have a full board, you're welcome to do that as well.
We will proceed.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions? What's your name again?
Robert Ruiz.
Ruiz. Okay. Anybody have a question for Mr. Ruiz? Mr. Steiner?
So just looking at the signage, it almost looks a little redundant, the way it's set up. I mean, we see Zane's, and then we also see Lebanese Grill under Zane's and Lebanese Grill again, which is further pushing the envelope on what you're asking on a waiver. I mean, I would think it almost would make sense to, if they want to have the logo with the Lebanese Grill, I mean, it's still visible enough, and then you still have the big Zane's and not necessarily need the additional Lebanese Grill sign. Or a combination. I don't know which they prefer, if they eliminated one or the other. But it does, leave a pretty sizable waiver. So we may want to consider looking at something a little different there.
So the purpose of the request is that because of the orientation of the building being perpendicular to Secor Road, the visibility is skewed. We also adhere to the landscaping plan that has been presented to us, so there are trees that obstruct. Their goal is to obviously increase the visibility. If you were to look at the predecessor's signage that was approved previously when it was known as Yellow Coal Express, their footprint is the exact same as Zane's. So this isn't a deviation in size from what was there previously, but they felt that their logo, Zane's, should be accentuated by a bigger presence of their name in the Lebanese Grill on each side for visibility purposes, as the main feeder for that plaza is Secor Road.
And then, of course, the one thing on there that Sylvania, Ohio would have to come off of their sign.
That's correct. That was an error on the signage company's part.
I'll leave it to other board members to also.
Mr. Covrat?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Rick, we're on the same page, same question, same line of thought that I had. So, Robert, when you mentioned this is similar signage to their other facility, is it similar, or is this the sign, the three consecutive, like for branding purposes, this is what they want, all three of them, or this is kind of a modified?
Thank you. The circular sign in the middle is their primary sign at their location in Sylvania, Ohio. The challenge that we face is, if you can note above the black line right below the 186 inches, that is a gutter that doesn't allow them to have the circle emblem that they typically have at their other location. And so because of the height restrictions, we can't bypass that gutter for drainage purposes. And then there's an offset to the dormer that's above that. So there's nowhere flat face to adhere this sign to if they were to seek a larger emblem.
Okay.
So in maintaining the integrity of their brand, they were hoping to have the Zane's medallion, as they call it, in the middle with accentuating their name on each side. And this is just simply a challenge that was presented due to the structure of the building because it's an A-framed roof.
So from a visibility standpoint, I actually swung by tonight on my way home from work, from coming off Secor, and the big word Zanes, and you can see that from the visibility standpoint, that's what I saw first, right? The emblem, not so much. You know, so if you're trying to maximize, what we're trying to do is balance, right? You know, it looks great. We're happy they're here. Trying to minimize or eliminate, in a perfect world, any variances from the sign ordinance, but definitely trying to minimize the sign. As Rick said, it's a pretty substantial variance. To me, that it's tough because the Zane's emblem, like you described, it really doesn't catch your eye from the road, but it's part of their branding. So that's a tough one. Katrina, I'll put you on the spot a little bit. Just looking at the buildings that are there, it looks like there's other signs that are bigger than this one, and maybe waivers have been granted in the past for those. Do we know that by chance?
I'm not sure on the history of the other units, if they sought sign waivers or if they were just installed.
Okay. I mean, it looks like right next door to where you're at, that sign looks bigger than what you're proposing. So just by my eye. I don't know if that's true or not. That's just what hit me. So that's it for now.
Well, I think one important thing when we consider waivers for sign variances, especially on the wall, is there has to be a hardship you have to demonstrate for us to change or make a modification. I know it was about 2.5 years ago. There's a large company over there, Tractor Supply, and they wanted a huge sign put on the wall, and we turned them down for that, and they opted for the smaller sign. And I guess you've mentioned a couple of things, but is there anything you can emphasize where it creates a hardship by not conforming with the existing ordinance?
I think the greatest hardship is the orientation of the building to Secor Road. This is a family-operated business. It's not a chain. This is their second location. They've been embraced and love operating here in Lambertville in Bedford Township. They are just over the moon at the response from the community. One of their biggest challenges is, as much as they do social media, as much as they put out signs, as much as they advertise, people still are asking, where are you at? Obviously, the greater challenge is that there's not a large sign up. But when they do put their sign up, hopefully with your permission, at what's before you, it's to increase the visibility of what's there. They're not like Magic Walk, who's on the end cap closest to Secor Road with a drive-through and has the ability to put side signage up. The side of their unit would face E.T.'s Bar, the second building in that plaza. So their goal was to maximize what they have in front of them while still maintaining the footprint within their premises, their two demising laws. And so Zane's is obviously their operating name. They are very proud Lebanese Americans, so they like to highlight the Zane's emblem with the cedar tree and accentuate the fact that they are Lebanese food, not just Mediterranean food.
Anybody have any other comments? Mr. Helm?
You mentioned in the original owner, their sign that was up there when they started it is not any bigger than what you're asking for?
That's correct. I actually have some printouts of the original sign if you'd like to look at them as well, so you can do a quick comparison of what we're asking and what was there.
I would like to see that.
Absolutely. And I apologize if I don't have enough for everybody.
It's okay. We can share. You know, another thing too was thought of reducing a little bit. Did they ever think of possibly stacking the two words Lebanese and grill?
You're saying to the right, the Lebanese grill, the stacking?
Instead of Lebanese grill spelled out this way, should they stack the, I mean, because that would also reduce some of it.
Reduce the square footage?
Yes, it
Because
would.
what we take off of the length will then go to the width.
That's helpful. Thank you for providing that. Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Chair. Yes, sir. I mean, Lemkowski.
first off, just looking at it, I mean, the sign before is bigger, covers more area. There's no doubt about that. Just an observation. I mean, it's got to be more square footage on that sign than what's even proposed here over the ordinance.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Coverett.
just a question again. I'm not a sign professional, right? But just asking the question again about to try to get it as close as we can to the size that we need for the ordinance. The Lebanese grill, taking those white lettering and somehow putting it under the big cursive Zanes and then centering the two pieces. So the white lettering somehow, I don't know, just to kind of get it under the Zanes. So it's the Zanes Lebanese grill and then you have the medallion right next to it.
So again, our challenge is the drainage system from the roof, the gutters. We don't have the clearance to stack by what I believe you're proposing because of the gutter that basically falls along that top black line. We don't have the height to stack. And we did about 6 different renderings of possible ways to make this work and still accomplish what we need.
You would be suggesting that he compress Zanes and put Lebanese grill under it?
Yeah, compress that a little bit and just put Lebanese grill right down here.
I think what we really want you to conform with the sign ordinance, and it obviously seems like it can be done without jeopardizing visibility from Secor Road.
I guess my counter to that would be that their predecessors did not seem to have any issue with having
They
this
could
sign.
have been in violation of the existing ordinance. But they could have
And that's
had
very
permission.
well.
I don't know.
Yeah, and that, I won't argue that fact. We require that all approvals be provided to us, and if I need to pull that approval up, I can from 4 years ago. But nonetheless, this is us just again trying to keep a full plaza active and continue to attract business to the community. They are not a McDonald's, they're not a Tim Hortons, they're not a well-known brand. So this is their one shot to kind of highlight their space with what we felt was a small request of 11 additional square feet of signage. Still within the parameters of their unit, their space, within their demising walls, and to Mr. Lemkowski's point, smaller than their predecessor signage.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Lemkowski?
But also, I mean, by you providing this sign, the previous owner did stack it as well.
They did.
I mean, they did stack to where you could do Zane's above with Lebanese grill underneath. And then could you also just, their logo, the B in this image, is that something you could put in a front window to highlight that logo instead of
I'm sorry, their logo is a what?
their logo, the circle logo?
Uh-huh.
Is that something you could take off of up there and just put in the front window as a sticker, or is that against ordinance
Still goes against signage and square footage.
on the glass?
And you can only cover so much in your window. There's limitations there.
Okay.
I mean, my name wouldn't indicate it, but I'm more Lebanese than I am anything else. And I've heard great things about this place, and I can't wait to try it.
They're really good food.
But I don't see a major encumbrance here to your business if we had you put it within the allotted amount per our ordinance.
Okay. I guess my counter to that would be that the desire, I think, for everybody here is to encourage business and to encourage business activity and business growth in this area. There have been obviously variances awarded to other businesses. Obviously, they're not to the scale that Zane's is as a two-restaurant operation, but this is a small family who's trying to make the most of the opportunity that we have been able to provide them through a tragedy of losing the predecessor. If you don't feel that their branding is necessary, then I would beg you to talk to the business owners and ask them their opinions on branding. They were not able to come tonight because they were actually working their stores today. So it wasn't a slight or any disrespect to council. They asked me to come on their behalf. But their goal is to continue to grow their business. And by an additional 11 square feet to advertise their business, permanently advertise their business on their business storefront, we felt was a very reasonable ask. To sit here and try to come up with additional hardships that they have, it would be all conjecture. So I'm being very forthright in saying that they're trying to maximize their visibility for the people that are traveling up and down Secor Road, which is their draw, the traffic counts on Secor Road. And the fact that the building is orientated perpendicular to Secor Road, where the visibility is extremely limited. We follow the landscaping plans that are set by zoning, so we aren't cutting down trees to increase their visibility. We're simply asking for additional signage so that they can highlight their space. They're not going beyond. They're not asking for, when I say beyond, they're not going beyond the parameters of their space. They're not asking for additional signage on the side of the building or the back of the building. They're simply asking for their storefront to have representation that fully represents their business and their operation.
Any other comments, questions? Is there a motion on the floor to accept the request for the sign waiver?
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the 11.98 square footage area for the wall sign, and also required to obtain all the building permits through the Bedford Township. And I'm just going off of, because the original sign that was there, I drove by it myself today. It is hard to see just where the building is located, so that's my reasoning.
I second.
Is that Mr. Lemkowski?
Yep.
Mr. Lemkowski seconds. Mr. Kovrat, can you take the roll?
Mr. Helm,
Yes.
Mr. Lamkowski,
Yes.
Mr. Steiner,
I'm going to respectfully say no. I looked at a couple other options here that could have reduced that even another 6 feet. So I know it's similar to what was there, but
If I may,
Yes.
if I reduced it by 6 feet, I would still have to get a variance for the additional 5.5.
they're reducing it even further, though.
So if I came back with a reduction of 6 feet, that would be,
There's a motion.
You have to be within the ordinance.
okay.
Right.
Okay.
okay, Mr. Fritz.
Yes.
I will vote no. I think there's some room to make it work. I think there's room to stack a little bit. So, yeah, my vote is no. Mr. Mahoney?
No. What do we do?
The motion failed. There was a motion to approve, therefore it is denied.
Okay. All right. Motion is denied 3-3. Sorry, and again, I can't wait to try the place out. I think you can do a lot within that allotted amount. You'll be fine.
I'm open to suggestions, so if you guys have suggestions and want to draw up some,
He had a great one about stacking Lebanese grill or putting one on top of the other.
how would that change the square footage of the signage?
Because it moves it in.
But it's this total area of the signage, not the length, correct?
It's the total area
Total
of
area.
all three signs that you're using.
So if I stack it, I'm not reducing my square footage.
Well, you've
I'm
got
increasing.
Lebanese grill. If you move the grill over here
Mm-hmm.
underneath the Lebanese, it's just a suggestion. It's up to you. It's
So I think what they're suggesting is a little bit smaller font.
Yes.
And getting them both in, not just taking the
So-
piece and putting it under.
Right.
Same size as Lebanese, but
Right.
shrink the font.
I
a little bit
understand what you're
bigger.
saying, but then it draws away from the fact that we're trying to highlight their business name from Secor Road, the main feeder for the plaza. But I respect your decision.
sorry,
What-
but can't wait
yeah.
to go there.
And again, we're excited, very happy they're here. One other thing, I guess, again, not sign professionals, but if you look back to the image you showed from before, they had the signage all the way up to that, whatever that line is, where the 121.5 is. So there's some room there that you could push it up and then get the Lebanese grill under the Zanes and then kind of shift it all over, I think that would probably get you to where you would need to be, or pretty darn close.
Do you have to keep that? Do you have to keep the logo in that? Because that would give you more the same size without that logo.
The
The
center
repetitive-
logo?
Pardon?
Are you talking the center logo?
Yeah, the logo.
I mean, it's the business owner's desire to have
Okay.
their image up there. That'd be like asking McDonald's not to have their golden arches. I mean, that's their identifier.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, item B, request for site plan approval for a child daycare center use for LP Stearns LLC, Paula Fontaine, Bedford Child Care Center, Cynthia Mayer, located on parcel number 5802-034-031-01, otherwise known as 1623 West Stearns Road, Temperance, Michigan 48144. Ms. Ingram.
Okay, the applicant is Cynthia Marr, 1619 West Stearns, Temperance, Michigan 48182. Owner is Paula Fontaine. The location is 1623 West Stearns Road. Parcel number 5802-034-031-01, and the zoning is C3 General Commercial District. The subject site consists of 2 acres with approximately 260 feet of frontage on West Stearns Road. The current zoning is C3 General Commercial District, and the proposed usage is child care center. Per section 400.1301, principal uses permitted in a C3 General Commercial District number 12, child care center is subject to the following conditions. No portion of a child care center shall be located within 300 feet of any gasoline pumps, underground storage tanks, or any other explosive material. 1 parking space shall be provided for each employee working during the largest shift, plus 1 space for each 8 children the facility is licensed to receive for care at any one time. A child loading and unloading area shall be provided to the Planning Commission to assure safe access to the facility and the adequacy of parking area and maneuvering lanes to circulate peak hour traffic. On-site traffic circulation shall be restricted to a one-way traffic flow where possible. Any on-site outdoor play area shall be enclosed by a fence that conforms to the applicable requirements of Section 1912. Any facility boundary which abuts property which is residential uses or zoned shall be screened according to the provisions of Section 1911, subsection C and H, and any other applicable regulations. Signs shall conform to the applicable requirements of Section 1922. The property to the north is zoned RM1 multifamily residential. To the east, C3 General Commercial District. To the west, C3 General Commercial District. And to the south, PUD Planned Unit Development. The applicant currently owns the building on the parcel to the east for a child care center use, Bedford Child Care Center, and is expanding her business to the subject parcel. The subject parcel is a multi-unit building, and the applicant is proposing a child care center use to be located within units 5, 6, and 7 on the southeast side of the building. The applicant has submitted a plot plan that identifies the parent and staff parking, as well as a pathway within the grassy area, utilizing a child safety walking rope to the existing gate of the outdoor play area located on the parcel to the east. At this time, no additional fencing is being proposed, as the existing playground area is secured by fencing. As outlined in the applicant's letter, Michigan Child Care licensing permits the outdoor play area to be located on a neighboring parcel, and the applicant has shown the intended path to provide for safe transportation of children to and from the play area located on the parcel to the east. The Planning Department has calculated the parking requirement for the use and has found the existing 20 parking spaces, 12 on the east and 8 on the west, to serve as employee parking, meets the ordinance requirement that 1 space be provided for each employee working during the largest shift, plus 1 space for each 8 children the facility is licensed to receive for care at any one time. Traffic flow will be 2-way due to the existing layout of the parking lot. As stated in the submitted letter, traffic flow will head east in the parking lot. Should any parents have children in both buildings, those parents will drop off their younger children at the main building and then head south to the parking lot to Suite 6 for drop-off and pickup. Please note, as this is a multi-unit building, each additional use will be calculated separately for parking, and the provided parking shown are for the daycare use.
Okay, Ms. Mayer, do you want to speak?
Hi, my name is Cynthia Marr, and I'm representing not only myself and my business, Bedford Child Development Center, but I'm also here on behalf of my landlord, Paula Fontaine, who is unable to make tonight's meeting as he is also a pastor in a local church. I have been a child care owner since 2005, starting in a church on Douglas Road in Lambertville. When we outgrew our space there, we were looking for a new building which could hold more than the church was, which was only 45. I found out at the time Bedford Public Schools was closing their doors of their child care center located at my current establishment of 1619 West Stearns, and leased that facility starting in August of 2012 and have been there since. My center is ran more like a school. It's not a daycare or babysitting service as some people think childcare is. My teachers utilize a curriculum which has been used in schools around the state of Michigan and approved by the Department of Education. And there we also do teacher-parent conferences. We don't have televisions or tablets in our classrooms, and we hold our teachers up to great expectations to get the children ready for kindergarten and beyond. Since late last year, we have struggled to keep up with the demand of families looking for child care, and our waiting list has been between 50 and 75 families at one time. This is what drove me to be looking at the building directly across the parking lot from my current center. The space was enough square footage to add 60 more children to my already 78 children that I'm able to house at my current building. And I thought this would be a great idea to help out the community and to give the families of Bedford the opportunity to have access to quality child care. So in July, I signed my lease and went straight to work on the necessary paperwork with the state of Michigan. I did not know at the time I had to ask for approval from the township, call it ignorance, because I already had a child care center going and had I had purchased it from Bedford Public Schools. And so we didn't have to go to the township to request a change of use because it was a child care center before that. So I, again, say that it was a mistake of just ignorance. The reason I found out that I needed to go and do all of the change of use and the life safety plan was when I was going through my final inspections with licensing and the state of and the fire marshal. He had stated that he needed to have the electrical panels checked, and so Paula Fontaine came over to the township and spoke with Dennis Kohler, the building inspector, and he had told him that we needed to have a change of use and a life safety plan in order to open up a child care center in that building, which again was used for open door and GED testing for Bedford Public Schools. Neither of us knew what this was going to entail. I spoke to Jody Rector on September 2nd at the Planning Commission office to find out what I needed to do. She stated I had to apply for a site plan application as well as meet with the Planning Commission to find out if you would approve me. Since then, we have finished all of our painting and removal and installation of all new carpet and vinyl flooring in the space and have had all our necessary inspections with the State of Michigan Licensing and Regulatory Affairs Office, including our fire inspection, which passed by the State Fire Marshal, as well as our environmental health inspection by the Monroe County Health Department. We found out just recently from the architect that we had hired that it would cost us $8,000 to do the life safety plan. I was completely stunned. I am a small business owner. I'm not here to be making money. I'm here for quality child care for these kids. I never got in it to make money, but I am ready to open up the expansion of that current building and am stuck paying rent, utilities, and insurance on a building I can't use because I have to go through this process. The architect has been out into the building. They took the measurements of everything, took pictures, and is currently working on the life safety plan. I am not opposed to ensuring the safety and security of all the children in my care, since I have been doing since 2005. When I did apply for the site approval, I did submit paperwork stating the ages of the children attending the new building, how many parking spots were needed for employees as well as parents at the busiest time of day. I also will be addressing with our current families that the parking lot will be a one-way entrance exit to ensure the safety and security of all the children, and the center's plans on allowing these children to access our playground at the current building, which again has been approved by the State of Michigan Licensing and Regulatory Affairs Department. I'm here today requesting the Planning Commission approve the site plan application for this child care center at 1623 West Stearns, and would also request a partial occupancy and or waiver to open my doors while the items, if any, come up from the life safety plan are being completed. I'm requesting this only because I do have 60 families currently waiting on my waiting list to enroll their children in the center, and I've been putting them off, letting them know we can't do anything until approval comes through or we receive a waiver from the Planning Commission. Thank you for all your time and listening to my request tonight.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Meyer? Mr. Fritz?
How often will the kids go between the new unit and the play area?
So they'll go outside once in the morning for an hour, and then once in the afternoon for an hour.
How many kids will go at one time?
Currently we only have, we have 14 children in the one classroom and 13 in the other, and they won't be going overall at the same time. They would be staggered. So the one would go out from 9:30 to 10:30, and the other one would go out from 10:30 to 11:30.
And what happened when you got up to the 60 people in the new unit?
Then it would be 30 kids going in at one time and then 30 at the other time.
So at one time you would have that safety line with 30 kids?
Yes, I have enough of the safety lines to it. I know that I spoke with Mr. Mahoney about possibly putting in like what the school has for the gate for the back parking lot area. I am not opposed to that. I know my landlord was not too thrilled about that idea. But if that's going to be something that we need to do and to ensure the safety of the kids.
Well, my concern is that when you come out of there and you cross over the parking lot and you get in the grassy area,
Yes.
the first thing you come to is a telephone pole with 4 supports. The next, and it's uneven ground. Then you come in, you're in grassy area. Then you come to a big tree. Then you come to a dumpster. Then you come to another big tree.
Those trees have always been used as our fire escape plan anyways. And so those kids know that when we're doing fire drills in our current building, that's our meeting place.
So how many people would be escorting the 30 kids out?
So the ratio for 3-year-olds is 1 to 10, so there would be 3 teachers. The ratio for 4-year-olds is 1 to 12, and so there would be 3 teachers as well if there were 30 children.
My concern is that during weather, rain, snow, when they plow that snow into the back area, which they shouldn't, if that's your walkway, the ground's already uneven. I don't know where the property line is to that unit either, but I'm just concerned of them walking on that uneven grass around the tree and got some kids, going by the dumpster and there's bees and that. And if there's no fence on the other side, you can't control what's coming in from there. I know it's a wooded area.
Yeah, that's never been fenced. Even the back of our current playground wasn't fenced when I took over the building, my current building from the school, and I put in the fence. Yeah. We've never had issues with any of people coming from our neighboring backyard coming over or bothering us. So I don't really foresee that it would be an issue of the kids going from the one building to the other for the playground.
Do you know what the uses are for the other units that's there?
I know that the front unit is being used for like a home health care business, and then there's a realtor's office. Those are the only 2 that I know right now.
And that would mean cars in and out?
The home health care is in the very front of the building, so they don't even come to the side of the building at all. And I believe that the realtor that is in there, that's like her storage unit, because she does have another office, I believe, in another location, as I was told.
Yeah, my concern is the vehicles coming into the parking lot. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, for the kids, especially 30 kids, walking on that grassy area that's uneven, the trees, the telephone pole, the wires, and all that stuff through all the different weathers. Like, I didn't know if something was looked at as maybe using part of the parking lot for a walkway on it.
I think the kids would be safer on a grassy area than in the parking lot.
One thing I noticed, and I did visit the location, what was it, 2 or 3 days ago.
Yes.
I first wondered, are they open? There weren't a lot of cars in the parking lot. And then it occurred to me, well, it's probably busy first thing in the morning and then during the rush hour at night. So there's really not a lot of traffic to speak of at that end of the parking lot. So I don't see that as a huge encumbrance or worry about traffic. It's
All of our kids have to be in attendance by 10 a.m. Most of our kids do show up between 6:30 and 8, which is we open at 6. And then our biggest, we close at 6, and so a lot of the kids are getting picked up between 5 and 5:30.
So it's minimal traffic. Go ahead.
Well, you say there's no traffic, but your people's going to park behind the building, correct?
The ones that are in the proposed, yes.
So there will be traffic going around the building, coming back out.
There will only be 6 teachers that will be included, 7 including myself, that will be parked back there.
Typically beginning and end of the day.
Correct, yes.
Mr. Steiner.
So that was my question too about the parking, and you just answered that. So it's primarily your employees are in the back of the building.
Yes.
I was listening to one of your comments, and I have to say right up front, very slippery slope on our behalf when you talked about you didn't say temporary approval, what?
A partial occupancy.
Partial occupancy. I know in the township there's things that have been done similar in the past, and it has not turned out the greatest by giving partial anything. How long do you think it's supposed to take before you can get that life safety plan back?
My architect said that it would be 3 to 4 weeks. Like I said, he started doing it last week, so I'm hopeful that he'll have it done probably in the second or third week of October.
Okay, and I know you said you've been doing some work over there, painting and cleaning and
Yes, sir.
Some of the other work. Has your electrical already been fully inspected then, as you were talking?
Yes, we had the electrical panels checked. A gentleman came out after my landlord paid the inspection amount to the building inspection department here, and they have been checked and approved.
Okay, so let's just say that you did get an approval. And what would be your time frame that you said, I'll be able to move in tomorrow? Would it be next week, ready, up and running to go to take on families?
I could start by Monday.
Okay, so you're that quick. Okay.
Yes.
So then there's wherein lies some of that dilemma too, that if there was an issue with that life safety plan that came up that pushed the envelope, whatever it may be, again, I'm not the person that designs life safety plans and things like that, so I can't give you all the pluses or minuses out of it. But that's probably my biggest concern. I mean, the parking lot, I thought about that a little bit too, and with the kids going across, I think that if you've got 3 people per 10, or what'd you say, 3 could be 3 per 12 each, I think that's pretty controllable. And if you did decide to do a gate, I know it wasn't the favorite thing. I mean, that's something you can consider too. I think my biggest stickler is going with a partial approval like that. So I'll leave it up to my other board members to talk about it.
I guess I have a question for Marty. I mean, there's an item on the agenda that we're supposed to act upon. I don't even know if we can grant any sort of additional special approval or partial approval.
I would say if that's a requirement by the building department, you have no authority to waive some other department's requirements.
Yeah, so we have to act on what's in front of us this evening.
Yes.
Okay.
Ms. Marr, I forgot to advise you, we're one board member short. If you want us to continue, we're going to still discuss probably, but do you want to continue with the vote, or do you want to wait until we have a full board?
No, I want to continue.
Okay.
I have another question.
Yes, Mr. Fritz.
For Katrina and maybe for Marty. On the front page there, that in the description, down in item F, it says any facility boundary which abuts the property which is residential use or zone shall be screened according to provisions of section 1911, subsection C and H, and any other applicable regulations. What does that pertain to? Or Marty?
So that would refer to the parcel that's located to the south where the Pines is located is zoned PUD, but it is used for residential condominiums. So it is up to the board's discretion if they feel any additional screening, buffering, landscaping should be required for this use that's going in. I don't believe there is any existing fence or barrier wall or any type of landscaping, because at the time, I think the building was in existence prior to when the Pines moved in, so then they were not required to then put some type of buffer in. So, but it is at your discretion now with the change of use going to the child care center. If the planning commission feels that that's necessary to require some type of buffering.
So item F isn't mandatory, you're saying? That's our regret?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Would you take kids over there in the middle of winter if there's a lot of snow and snow mounds everywhere?
A lot of times, because of the licensing rules, if it's below a certain temperature, we do not take the kids out. And it's just for their own safety. Like if it's, negative degrees out or below, I believe 28 degrees, the kids do not go outside. So they would then stay in the building.
Mr. Steiner.
Maybe that's what happened when I was a kid. I was out way colder than that. So I guess my concern that I had brought up, that's completely off the table because of, what Mr. Kemperth just stated. Other than that, I think, what you've got in front of us, and you're working on continuing to get your life safety plan, that's up upon you to get that part completed. Depending on how the board feels, I think I can go along with the rest of your proposal here in front of us. It's just depending on what the board wants to do, and if a motion's made in favor, then that's how I'd proceed.
Mr. Coverett.
Yeah, I would agree with Rick. I just want to confirm, so that life safety plan is a requirement? That has to be in place to operate the facility?
Yes, that is something that is required through the building department for the child care use.
Okay, very good.
Can I ask a question? Have you guys ever done a waiver for that, though?
I don't believe so. I know when we had previously spoke on the phone with Dennis Kohler, he stated that it is something that is required. I know the previous two child care centers that we had come before the Planning Commission were required to provide the same.
So I'm saying that once the life safety plan is already done, though, and we're in the process of changing like the doorknobs to the door levers and making sure like if everything is up to code, like with, because our architect had said something about making sure that the outlets were all like safety proofed and stuff like that. If those items were already getting worked on, is there a possibility that there would be a waiver at that point?
I think that's going to be a question for the building department.
Okay, thank you.
I would say most likely it won't happen from an actual waiver standpoint. It's sort of a bad precedent to set. Again, I know your goal is you want to make sure the kids are taken care of and protected. And if this does pass this evening, I think you just have to hope that the architect can accelerate that plan as quickly as possible. Our approval, if we went forward, you would be able to get your occupancy and get started as soon as that plan's presented, and whether it's, I don't know if you get a certificate or a license with that, as soon as you brought that in and showed that proof to our building department, if everything else gets approved, I think you'd be ready to go, the next day.
Okay, thank you.
Would you or Mr. LaFontaine have a problem making this a one-way parking lot?
I know I wouldn't. I would
Okay.
have to talk to my landlord about it, but I know
So-
we've discussed it in the past.
I guess as part of a motion, if somebody's going to make one, I'd like to have that be part of it, complete with arrows on the ground and maybe an accessory sign. You're allowed an accessory sign. Is that right, Katrina? Like this with an arrow pointing.
I believe there is language for a directional sign that could be permitted.
And far off the right of way. So, okay. Anybody else have any questions? Comments? Somebody like to make a motion? Anyone?
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Steiner?
I'll take a start at this. My motion would be to approve the site plan for 1623 West Stearns Road, Temperance, Michigan, 48182, also known as parcel 5802-034-031-01, for the proposed use of a child care center for use in the building at 1623 West Stearns Road, building units 5, 6, and 7, with the comments being that the employees' parking is on the westerly rear side of the building. The main traffic flow will be as stated by the applicant. Which way to go here? Are you coming in on the right and then turning left to the east? Is that what it was?
Well, as I spoke with Mr. Mahoney, it could be either way. Just after thinking about it, after I wrote that up, I thought that those employees that would be like working in suites 2, 3, or 4, they would come straight in, and then they would have to go around the parking lot past the 1619 building and then exit out. So then the flow of traffic would stay in the same pattern as most traffic would.
That's what I mean, because I wouldn't want to go to the left near the
Correct,
original building
yes.
and then come. It's almost like driving in England, right?
Yes.
So, okay, so a one-way traffic flow along the 1623 building, heading to the south end of the parking lot, turning to the east, and then exiting along the 1619 property.
Correct.
The applicant is also in process of obtaining the life safety plan as required by our building department to operate a daycare center. And if I've missed anything, my fellow board members, if you could chime in.
I'll support.
Support, okay.
Okay, Mr. Coverett, seconds. Mr. Coverett, can you call the roll?
Mr. Steiner.
Aye.
Mr. Coverett votes aye. Mr. Lamkowski.
Aye.
Mr. Helm.
Aye.
Mr. Fritz.
Aye.
Mr. Mahoney.
Aye. A motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good luck, and
Have a good
hopefully
night.
the architect moves quickly.
Okay, moving on to item C, request for final site plan approval for Consumers Energy for site improvements located on parcel number 5802-036-029-11, otherwise known as 7100 Crab Road, Temperance, Michigan 48182. Ms. Ingram.
Okay, the applicant is Consumers Energy, 4141 East Wilder Road, Bay City, Michigan, 48706. The owner is Consumers Energy, 1 Energy Plaza, Jackson, Michigan, 49201. The location is 7100 Crab Road, Temperance, Michigan, 48182, parcel number 5802-036-02911, 3.08 acres, and the zoning is I-2 Light Industrial. On June 7th, 2022, the parcel was approved by the Township Board to be rezoned from I-1 to I-2. Since that time, the applicant has gone through the land division process to combine 5802-036-02910 and 5802-036-04600 to create one parcel, 5802-036-02911, to move forward with the proposed site plan, subject to providing a recorded deed to the assessing department. The subject site consists of approximately 3.08 acres with 580.39 feet of frontage on Crab Road. Existing on-site is an approximately 8,000 square foot structure, an area of 14 pole racks having a gravel surface area. The site currently has 3 ingress-egress locations. Located to the east of the structure is a gravel area with an existing chain link fence and gate. This proposed site plan is for site work only. At this time, there's no proposed addition to the existing structure or any additional structures to be developed on site. As noted on sheet C 3.2, the project will be done in 3 phases of demolition and construction, which will be coordinated between the owner and the contractor prior to construction to keep operations in service. As shown on the site plan, all the existing gravel area is to be removed and heavy-duty asphalt pavement is to be installed. There is a proposed area for a chain link fence to be installed around the parking area and a proposed chain link fence on the east of the property line to include barbed wire. Per section 400.1913, fences in an industrial district shall not exceed 8 feet in height, and fences that include a barbed cradle wire shall be permitted, provided that the barbed cradle wire is located on the portion of the fence that is greater than 6 feet in height, and the barbed cradle wire shall only overhang the property that it is intended to be protected. At this time, there are 4 existing parking spaces shown on the east side of the existing structure, noted on heavy-duty asphalt pavement. Also, there are proposed additional 17 parking spaces on the north side of the structures to include 1 barrier-free and a vehicle charging station. The site plan indicates the 3 ingress-egress points off of Crab Road to remain and bringing them into compliance by the Monroe County Road Commission standards and the township ordinance requirements. The fire department reviewed and approved the site plan on July 1st, 2022. The Monroe County Drain Commission reviewed and approved the site plan with comments on August 30th, 2022. The Monroe County Drain Commission, in regards to soil erosion and sedimentation control, reviewed and approved the site plan with comments on August 30th of 2022. The Mannequin Smith Group reviewed and approved the site plan with comments on July 15th, 2022. They have since resubmitted plans addressing those comments, and we received the review letter back from Mannequin Smith dated September 23rd, and that was provided tonight to the commission members. And there are still additional comments that need to be addressed and provide revised drawings to address those comments for further review and approval. The Monroe County Road Commission reviewed and approved the site plan with comments on September 7th, 2022. Should site plan approval be granted, a motion should include that the approval shall be contingent upon addressing all conditions of the Bedford County Fire Department, Mannequin Smith Group, Monroe County Drain Commission in regards to soil erosion and sedimentation control, Monroe County Road Commission letter of approvals, and subject to submitting a recorded deed to the assessing department for review and approval for the land division prior to an issuance of a building permit.
Thank you. Is there a representative from Consumer Power here? You'd state your name and address for the record. Appreciate that. And speak into the microphone.
Yeah. Good evening. Can you?
You can move it up.
Scott McCullough from Consumers Energy, 1 Energy Plaza, Jackson, Michigan address.
Okay, do you have anything to add from?
Consumers recently purchased that property a year or so ago. That's the rezoning that she was talking about, the land consolidation. And basically the project, an overview of the project, we're keeping everything the same, but we're making basically pavement for the employees, and we're adding a kind of a parking lot for the employees when they're on storm duty that is secure. So that's where you'll see part of the fenced-in area for the employees on one side was still accessed for the general public for the service center on the other side. So in regards to the deed that was submitted, I believe Monday, to treat Mrs. Vitale, our real estate group had sent that in. So,
Okay. We're 1 board member short tonight. Do you want us to continue
Yes,
deliberation and a vote? Okay.
yes, please.
Anybody have any questions or comments? Mr. Steiner.
If you remember, this was pretty straightforward, that these 2 properties were zoned differently. They came in and had it rezoned so they could do the site combination. Everything else is pretty straightforward, and the only exceptions are the review by Mannequin Smith Group, things in the site plan that still need to be addressed. All the other agencies have made their comments. Anything that's open by those agencies are basically items that have to be closed, which I don't think is anything too difficult to be closed at this point. The applicant's pretty much given us all of the items that we've requested. So I'll let you talk some more about it.
I know, so you're going to have a charging station. Is that going to be open to the public, or do you guys have electric vehicles?
That's within our fence, that's within the fence line, not to the general public, where the location of those are. So it's the Consumers Energy fleet.
Have you selected a contractor yet?
We have not. It went out for bid, and we're conditional to site approval. So we just received bids back, and they're under evaluation right now.
Anybody local?
Detroit area has bid on it. A couple of Livonia and
To do the asphalt work?
I don't have that information with me for the subs. We bid to a general, so there's multiple different subs. I don't have a list of the subs with me. I'm sorry.
Anybody else have any questions, comments? Is there a motion on the floor?
Mr. Chairman, I'll give it a shot.
Awesome.
I'd like to make a motion to approve final site plan approval, or to grant final site plan approval for Consumers Energy for site improvements located on parcel number 5802-036-029-11, otherwise known as 7100 Crab Road, Temperance, Michigan. That is contingent upon the applicant addressing all conditions presented by the Bedford Township Fire Department, MSG, Manicat Smith Group, Monroe County Drain Commission, Monroe County Drain Commission in regards to soil erosion and sedimentation control, and Monroe County Road Commission. Approval is also contingent upon the applicant submitting a recorded deed to the assessing department for review and approval for the land division prior to issuance of a building permit.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Steiner seconds. Mr. Covrat, can you call the roll?
Mr. Covrat votes aye. Mr. Steiner.
Aye.
Mr. Lankowski.
Aye.
Mr. Helm.
Aye.
Mr. Fritz.
Aye.
Mr. Mahoney.
Aye. The motion passes 6-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 9, public comment. Doesn't look like there's going to be in the public who wants to make a comment. So on to item 10. Any information to pass on, Ms. Ingram?
Yes, the next meeting is scheduled for October 12th, and we will have that meeting as the open hearing will resume for lock it up requests.
Thank you. Commission staff comment. I'll start down here. Ms. Ingram?
I have nothing else at this time.
Mr. Caprith? Mr. Steiner?
Nice job, Katrina. I just only have one thing to say. The darn Jody, she's still just a little bit faster with that speed reading. But she's had more practice.
You did
You
fine.
did a really nice job tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Fritz?
Nothing.
Nothing for me. Mr. Helm?
Nothing.
Mr. Covrat?
Katrina, do you know that meeting on the 12th, will that also be the sign ordinance discussion?
I believe Jody is looking to put that back on, yes, since
Okay.
we weren't able to discuss it at the previous meeting.
Yeah, I missed that, and I was sad to, and then I
Yeah.
saw that it didn't
It didn't get
happen,
anywhere,
So that's
so-
good. I'm looking forward to that discussion.
Yeah.
So everyone do your homework on the sign ordinance. That's all I got.
I'm good. Have a good rest of the week.
All right. Well, thanks. With that, we'll adjourn the meeting. It is 8:05. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.